Hey, what's up, folks? This is Junebug Obama. I've been trying to have a discussion here about what has happened with Christopher Dorner, but they keep changing the damn story. Every time I go to the news, they say, oh, he's in the cabin is burned up, we found his body, we've confirmed that we found his body. Then they turn around and say, we have not found a body in the cabin is too hot to go in, but the cabin is burned down, but we can't go in it. So I don't know what the hell is going on right now, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play my commentary on Christopher Dorner, and this is what I recorded earlier today as the events were unfolding. I shared my thoughts and opinions while he was in the cabin, while it was reported that he was in the cabin and the cabin was on fire. That's when I was recording, and that's what this is I'm about to play. And this is real time, my thoughts and opinions as I was watching the news. Here it is. Check it out. What's up, everybody? This is Junebug Obama with an update on the Christopher Dorner story. I know everybody by now should know who Christopher Dorner is, even if you live outside of the United States. Christopher Dorner is a former Navy reservist. He's 33 years old. He's also an ex-LA police officer, and he was fired from his job unfairly, he believes. And being fired from his job and dealing with corrupt police officers prompted him to go on a killing spree, and he killed 3 people initially to get revenge on the LAPD, and he also posted on Facebook a manifesto explaining why he was doing what he was doing. And in the manifesto, he threatened to kill more police officers and possibly some of their family members also. Now, the police has been searching for this man for several days now, and he has successfully eluded the police. But today was the day that they finally found him, and they cornered him in a cabin which was up in the Big Bear area in California, in the mountains. And in this cabin, there was at first a shootout between Christopher Dorner and 2 sheriff deputies. One of the deputies ended up dead, and the other one is currently in critical condition. They say there was over 100 rounds fired in this battle between Dorner and these deputies. And they also say that Dorner used explosives. So this guy is not the average Joe on the street going up against a bunch of police officers and trying to win. This man was trained for combat. He's in the cabin. The cabin is on fire. They also use tear gas. And they're just sitting back and letting it go up in flames. I just saw on CNN that they're letting fire trucks through to put out the fire, but I don't believe there's any way at all that Mr. Dorner is going to be able to survive this cabin just allowed to just burn. So he's not going to be able to survive that, and I think that that was their intention. I believe their intention from day one was to kill this man. That's what they intended to do, was to resolve this by him being dead. They didn't want to bring him, quote unquote, bring him to justice and have a trial and go through all of that. They wanted his ass dead. Over the course of the time they were searching for him during this manhunt, where they had over 100 officers and police dogs, and I even heard they had drones searching for this man. There was an incident where this elderly woman, she was 70 years old, and her daughter, they were delivering newspapers, and they had a van or some other type of vehicle that was similar to Christopher Dorner's vehicle. It was similar to Christopher Dorner's vehicle. It wasn't the same type of vehicle. It wasn't even the same color. And police suspected that Christopher Dorner was in the vehicle, and they fired 45 shots, shot up the van, and injured this elderly Asian woman and her daughter. because they thought Christopher Dorner was in the van. And they didn't even wait and see if Christopher Dorner was in there. So that lets me know that their intention was to shoot to kill. And that's why the cabin is burning. And they're sitting back and they waited to make sure that there is no way he could survive before they're going in there. And in all fairness, he is a killer. And he's a very dangerous man, and he's very skilled. He's very trained. He was trained by the LAPD. So in all fairness, them trying to go in there and apprehend him would have led to more officers being killed. More officers would be dead, which is what he wanted. I'm sure he wanted to kill as many officers as possible. And he's the type of guy, in my opinion, who actually wanted to go out with bloodshed. I think that's the way he wanted to die based on reading the manifesto. So, in other words, what other choice did they have other than to burn him up in a cabin or to shoot him on sight? He wasn't trying to surrender himself. That's for damn sure. He wasn't going to turn himself in, so to speak. And he was intent on killing more people, probably. So that's the only way they could have resolved this and to protect other innocent people. And I want to be honest with you all and say that I'm actually disappointed that he's not going to be able to survive, simply because I didn't want him to die. I wanted Christopher Dorner to give himself up. I wanted him to surrender, or at the very least, I wanted him to be apprehended, captured. And the reason I wanted him to survive is because I want him to be alive so that he can speak and talk about more of what he experienced and more of what he witnessed as a police officer. I'm talking about the crooked cops. I'm talking about the corruption. We all know that the LAPD, as well as other police officers in other jurisdictions all around the United States, we know that there are corrupt cops. And I wanted to hear more about that. I wanted him to talk more about his experiences with dealing with that and just everything else he's dealt with that led him to this day. I wanted him to be able to talk about what led him into doing all of this in the first place. Now, I did read his manifesto, and the manifesto does lay everything out, but still, there's nothing like talking to the man and interviewing him and seeing him go through a trial and hearing his side of the story from his own mouth. There's so many killers who are still alive today, incarcerated, albeit, but they're still alive. There's a lot that could have been learned from Christopher Dorner, a lot that we could have used for future reference and to be able to maybe prevent this from happening in the future. So I'm disappointed that this has all happened the way that it all ended. And what I'm saying is, yes, there are some killers who I do want to be killed. You know, and I know this sounds hypocritical. Some may say that I'm being unfair, unjust. Why am I wanting this man to still be alive, but other killers, I want them to be dead? Well, the reason why is because with Christopher Dorner, there's still going to be a lot of unanswered questions. This is all still going to be a mystery other than what we've read in the manifesto. We're not going to be able to dig deeper and probe and get more answers from this man and see, was he suffering from some type of mental illness, or he mentioned depression, and we're not going to get all the answers about this because nobody's going to be able to evaluate this more thoroughly since he's not going to be around. So that's why I'm concerned. I mean, yes, there are some killers who, yeah, their asses should be killed. You know, people that just kill with no rhyme or reason are just crazy, or people who are terrorists or whatever. And it's interesting how we decide to use those terms, who we choose to label mentally ill and who we choose to label a terrorist and who we choose to say, yep, they know what they're doing and we should just get rid of them. So everybody gets a different label. Every killer or mass murderer or whatever, serial killer, what have you, every violent criminal gets a different label. And I find that very interesting. And for the record, I also want to say that the way Christopher Dorner handled all of this is not how I would have handled all of this. So I'm not in the fan club. I'm not in the Christopher Dorner fan club of how he handled this. However, I do believe his initial story of being fired unfairly. I do believe that. I believe that he told the truth when he said that he saw another officer, a female officer, use unnecessary roughness and violate a mentally ill homeless man by kicking him. He witnessed that, he reported it, and they fired him instead of her. And I do believe he was telling the truth, and he was trying to clear his name. Now, he went to an extreme measure to clear his name. I personally would have tried to get the best damn lawyer I could find. And even if I lost, I wouldn't go on a killing spree. So I don't want you all to think that I'm saying that I agree with what he did. He killed some innocent people. But what I'm saying is that I just wanted to learn more about him. And now that's not going to happen. So those are my thoughts for now. And now you can share your thoughts. Let me know what you think about Christopher Dorner. Are you a supporter? Do you hate him? Are you glad he's dead? Do you wish he had survived? Share your thoughts. What do you think about his manifesto? Do you think he was telling the truth? Whatever it is you have to say, this is a place where we can openly discuss what has transpired.